Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, while Bitcoin is still struggling at this resistance, the price is continuing to play out this short-term bearish divergence alongside Ethereum also now starting to play out this new bearish divergence that we need to pay attention to, while the price of Chainlink is continuing the significant rejection from this massive resistance. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the 4-day Bitcoin price chart, and right now the super trend indicator is still sitting in the red, so nothing's changed on this chart over the last one day. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin price chart, at least for now, we technically still have a massive bearish divergence to watch out for, but obviously over the last one day, not much has changed on this chart. So if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, what has changed on this chart over the last one day is that we've just seen a weekly candle close, which means we're now one step closer towards possibly confirming a bullish crossover here in the weekly Bitcoin MACD. And so at the current rate that we're heading, potentially in a week from now, we could confirm a bullish crossover. But once again, for now, we're not yet seeing the bullish crossover, but we are getting closer towards one. In other words, based on previous similar signals that we've seen in this indicator, we're already in the recovery in the price of Bitcoin out of these pullbacks here, potentially getting ready to flip much more bullish again, especially after we actually confirm a bullish crossover, which still has to happen. But for now, just in the shorter term, of course, the price of Bitcoin is still struggling around this significant area of resistance, sitting in between around 96,000 to 98,000. So once again, continue to expect the price to struggle a lot in this area, especially at approximately 97,000. We have a lot of resistance there based on the volume profile indicator. And we can clearly see that above approximately 98,000, the volume profile indicator really starts to drop off. So basically, at least based on this chart right here, we don't really have a lot of resistance further towards the upside once we can break out above 98,000. So basically, it's extremely likely we'll see a continued bullish move towards all-time highs once we first confirm a breakout above this resistance. But for now, obviously, it is still acting as resistance. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, obviously, even though we've not yet fully confirmed the invalidation of this bullish divergence right here, technically it's already played out over the last couple of weeks, which is of course one of the most common outcomes from a bullish divergence on the daily time frame. And of course, more recently, we've gotten pretty much right on overbought territories here in the daily Bitcoin RSI, telling us that we're running out of room towards the upside, at least in the short term, and we need some time to cool off. And obviously over the last couple of days, this has already started to play out exactly as expected, and this will likely continue to play out at least in the short term here, in order to continue to reset the RSI down towards more neutral levels, which can ultimately give us more room towards the upside later on. And of course, if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, we still have this significant area of resistance, the golden pocket area of resistance, if we're looking at the Fibonacci retracement tool on the linear settings, and that area is sitting in between approximately 96,000 to 98,000, give or take. So once again, also based on this resistance at around 96 to 98,000. So that is the strong resistance to pay attention to for the price of Bitcoin. And above approximately 98,000, we could potentially find some resistance at around 102,000 based on this 78.6% Fibonacci level of resistance. But above 98K and above 102K, essentially the next target, the next major point of resistance would be at close to all-time highs, which if we're looking at all of these highs right here in the candle closes, that's at approximately 106 to 107K. And then of course above that we have the all-time high at close to 110,000. But remember, just in the short term, most likely at least for the next couple of days here, we're going to see a continued short-term cool off. So basically don't expect a massive bullish move just in the next couple of days here, because also we have this bearish divergence perfectly playing out here on the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart. And as always, a bearish divergence usually plays out in the form of either a pullback or at the very least a bit of choppy sideways price action. So essentially no significant bullish price action. We can see the occasional little green candle here and there, but no significant bullish price action just in the short term here. And obviously I've already been talking about this happening over the last couple of days, and clearly over the last couple of days this has been playing out exactly as predicted. And once again, I continue to expect this moving forward as the most likely scenario just in the short term here. But then, of course, in a couple of days from now, we have an FOMC meeting coming up, which could potentially influence the price of Bitcoin and change things in the short term. But I'll be talking more about that in my next video tomorrow, because it's still a couple of days away from that FOMC meeting. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, at least for now in the immediate short term, we actually don't necessarily have a clear direction based on this chart right here. Obviously, if you watched the channel roughly 1 week ago when the price was back here, I was saying over and over again here on the channel before we saw that bullish move right here, I was saying it's extremely likely we're about to see a bullish move just above 96,000 to take out this liquidity, because this chart right here was revealing that as a very likely scenario. But the current present day situation here is of course different from roughly 1 week ago. We don't really have a significant amount of liquidity just below the price or just above the price. In other words, we don't have a clear direction, at least based on this chart right here. Once again, based on some of the other charts I've talked about, it is likely we're going to see a little bit more of a cool off in the short term, but not necessarily a massive bearish or massive bullish move, just in the short term. And some areas of liquidity to watch out for are sitting at approximately 92,500 and also at around 98,000, but those are not really all that significant. And when it comes to my Bitcoin trading strategy, personally, my trading strategy has not changed over the last 1 day. So if you're new to the channel and you want to know more about my actual trading strategy, then simply watch my last couple of videos here on the channel to find out more. But of course, if you want to trade at these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, you have to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And personally, I'm taking a lot of my crypto trades over on BTNX, so I'll make sure to leave a link to BTNX below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim some massive trading bonuses, like for example up to 35,000 in USDT. But if you're not one of these larger traders here, you can also get basically a 20% deposit rebate. So essentially, if you deposit $100, you get a $20 bonus, or if you deposit $1,000, you get a $200 bonus, but only if you use that link to BTNX. And in case you're wondering, BTNX is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want BTNX as an exchange, there's also 2bit as another option out there, another exchange that I also trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can also claim some massive trading bonuses and also a 20% deposit rebate up to a max of 200 USDT, which once again is only available using that link. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check out these exchanges, the links below these videos once again. And in case you're wondering, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the weekly time frame, and technically speaking, Ethereum is still simply within a larger bear market. Nothing's changed over the last 1 day on this chart. Of course, I've been talking about this longer term bearish trend, this bear market, since much higher prices months ago now on the channel. But if we're taking a look at the daily time frame, at least for now, we are holding above this Fibonacci level based on this previous support right here, which is once again acting as support, and that's sitting at around 1790 to 1.8k. So basically just under 1800, acting as key support here in the short term. But as I always say, Ethereum follows very similar price action to what Bitcoin is doing. So if Bitcoin is experiencing a short-term cool-off, struggling at key resistance, of course, do not expect a significant bullish movement for Ethereum. If Bitcoin is doing this, it's very likely Ethereum will also experience a short-term cool-off, just a slowdown, at least for now. And if we're actually zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the 6-hour Ethereum price chart, for now, we've actually just confirmed and already started to play out a new bearish divergence with clearly higher highs confirmed in the price in the candle closes and lower highs confirmed in the 6-hour Ethereum RSI. And so once again, this is a bearish divergence telling us we're most likely going to see either a pullback in the short term or at the very least a bit of choppy sideways price action. So basically a bit of a break or a pause from all of this bullish price action here as a very likely scenario in the short term, at least over the next day, maybe over the next 2 days, potentially leading up to that FOMC meeting. Once again, we're likely going to see just a continued short-term cool off. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 3-day time frame, technically speaking, Solana is still actively playing out the bullish divergence because at least for now, we've not yet confirmed an invalidation signal to invalidate validate the bullish divergence on the 3-day Solana price chart. But of course, just like Bitcoin and Ethereum, Solana is also experiencing a short-term cool-off. As I always say, expect similar price action for Solana and really most of the altcoins out there compared to what Bitcoin is doing. So if Bitcoin is experiencing a cool-off, basically expect the same thing for most altcoins here. And if we're taking a look at the daily Solana price chart, we've actually started to just break below this short-term support level, which was sitting at around 146 to 147. So of course, unless we can quickly break out back above that level with candle closes confirming back above ideally 147, in that case, of course, if we do not break out back above this level, this is a bearish signal, at least in the short term. And the next important support to watch out for is sitting at approximately 136 to 137, give or take. And below that, we have significant support at around 125. But remember, just in the short term, expect a continued short-term cool-off as the most likely scenario here. And of course, over the last few days or so, this has already been perfectly playing out exactly as I've predicting. And I continue to expect this moving forward at least over the next couple of days. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP, it's the same story for XRP as well. We're still being influenced by this massive bearish divergence, which means we should not be expecting any significant bullish momentum anytime soon. And of course, I've been saying that for months now on the channel. While many other people out there are telling you XRP about to go to the moon, I've been telling you that no, actually expect a massive cool off, a massive setback. And I've been saying that since much higher prices months ago. And obviously, this is still perfectly playing out as I expect. And if we're taking a look at the daily XRP chart, technically we're still within the descending parallel channel, which is effectively a bearish trend, forming lower highs and lower lows. And of course, in the shorter term, we can see short-term bullish reliefs from time to time during the bearish trend. And that's what we saw right here. But possibly we're about to resume the bearish trend, especially while Bitcoin once again continues this short-term cool-off. At the very least, expect a bit of a cool-off for XRP and a lot of the altcoins. And the next level of support to watch out for the price of XRP is sitting at approximately $2.05. And we have more support at close to $2 and significant support all the way down here at around $1.78, give or take. But overall, once again, just expect a continued short-term cool-off, at least over the next couple of days, as the most likely scenario here. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink, it's the same story for Chainlink as well. While Bitcoin is experiencing a cool-off, expect the same thing for pretty much every altcoin out there. Of course, not 100% of all altcoins, but most altcoins play out very similar price action to what Bitcoin is doing. So while Bitcoin is struggling around key resistance, of course, Chainlink is also struggling around key resistance. And this key resistance for Chainlink is sitting in between 1490 to 1550. So that, of course, is still acting as very strong resistance. But technically speaking, we're still possibly forming an inverse head and shoulders pattern for the price of Chainlink if we simply continue this pullback a little bit lower, perhaps down towards around $13, even down towards around $12.50. Basically, if we bounce anywhere around there on the price chart and then come back up towards this golden pocket right here, acting as strong resistance, and then ideally see a confirmed breakout above 1550 after first confirming the right shoulder, of course, that would confirm an inverse head and shoulders pattern, which would be extremely bullish for the price of Chainlink, setting up a massive bullish price target beyond $20. But remember, in order to actually confirm that, in order to set up that bullish price target, we need to first see a little bit more of a pullback, and then we need to see a bounce somewhere around here, like I just said, and then a breakout above this resistance. So for now, of course, we're still in the formation phase, and we're still a long way from potentially confirming that pattern. And so overall, not a lot has changed over the last few days. And once again, that's what I expect moving forward, at least in the short term here, over the next 1 or 2 days here. And once again, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out those links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.